Hi everybody, welcome to episode number 47 of Driftless Knitting. My name is Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter, and you can find the podcast on Ravelry if you search for Driftless Knitting under the Groups tab. We have a podcast group there. Usually that's where I put show notes. Last time I recorded, I was really bad and I didn't put show notes up. But keep your eye on that if you do have questions about the podcast. There's also a thread for like general chit chat. I think that's actually what it's called, general chit chat. So if you have questions, comments, you want to introduce yourself, please go there. And yeah, I encourage you all to come say hi. So I'm coming to you from Cross Plains, Wisconsin, as always, and it is about 5:30 right now. It feels so much later than 5:30. I was looking at the time as I was getting like everything together, and I was expecting it to be at least like 6:15 or something, and it was like 5:20. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am still not used to the time change. For us here in the US, we just went back like the fall back an hour last Sunday, or 2 Sundays ago. No, it was last Sunday only, so it was less than a week ago, and I am still kind of getting used to being an hour back. I don't mind it so much. I really wish that it didn't get dark quite so quickly. Now that, I work until 5-6 o'clock at night, and it's already, dark by the time I'm done and walking to my car. So that's kind of depressing, but the extra hour in the morning is nice, and the sun's already up and shining pretty bright when I go to work. So it's okay, I guess. We only have to do it until, springtime, and then we get to go back forward and have super long days of sunshine. So yeah, we can get through it. In the meantime, I for one, I don't know about you guys, but I'm in hibernation mode, where I just kind of want to stay home when I get home from work, and it's kind of, I need an extra push to go do anything. Yeah, I usually need a little bit of a push to go and do anything. I'm a homebody, I'm an introvert. I love, having fun and doing things, but sometimes I do need that extra little encouragement, and especially now that it's cold and then dark at night, early, pretty early, I need a little extra. So yeah, I like to stay home with my knitting, with a good podcast, and just be cozy. So right now, I'm waiting for my dinner to cook. I put it together before I'm filming this podcast, and it's in the oven right now. So yes, I'm very excited. For me, it's one of like the ultimate comfort foods. It's tater tot casserole, and I know that probably sounds like super gross to some people. It's really good though. It's just like, I don't know, for me, it invokes like my childhood, and it's just warm and cozy and rich and delicious. So I am really looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I'm so glad to be back with you guys. I missed last week due to just life being life. We actually went out with friends Friday night, and we went to a comedy club, which is the first time I've ever been to a comedy club. It was actually like super fun. Of course, it was a comedy club, so of course it's fun. Yeah, we had a really good time. And then Saturday I worked, and what did we do? I forget what we did Saturday and Sunday, but yeah, I honestly can't remember. But that doesn't matter. I was busy doing something, so I wasn't able to podcast. But this week I am, and I'm very excited to be back. I have a lot to show you guys, and I wanted to say thank you to everyone who sent their congratulations my way after the last podcast, because for those of you who haven't watched before or didn't catch the last episode, my boyfriend and I recently got engaged, so he's my fiance, I guess, and I actually just got my ring back today because it was being resized. So it's really nice to have my ring back. I'm really happy about that. But anyway, thank you everybody for your kind words and your congratulations, and we are very, very happy and excited and a little bit stressed out because we're in like full throttle of wedding planning already, so yeah, but it's fun. I'm not going to complain about that. So yeah, let's get to the knitting content because that is why you are watching this podcast. So I'm going to start out today by talking about what I'm wearing, actually. I am wearing a hand knit, it's not really a garment, it's kind of like a garment accessory. It's a combination, I'm just going to scoot my chair back and then sort of stand up. It's a combination of a shawl and a poncho, and it's called the Poncini by Stephen B. I knit this quite a few years ago. Let me just duck down so that you can see the back of it. So you can see it's like a straight back, it goes all the way across, but then it has the point in the front. And it kind of comes up like around my neck, almost in like a cowl neck. And then I just wear it down, you know, I like where it lies. I've seen a lot of them that are bigger, that kind of go down, you know, past the elbows, but this way I can still, you know, wear it while I'm working. I like took it off to cook and stuff because I just don't want stuff getting on it, but for most things around the house I can still kind of wear it as long as, you know, this doesn't get in the way. Right there. I knit this out of a linen, so it's two yarns kind of combined, and it's a linen and mohair combination. I don't know which way you're going to get the best. There we go. That's a pretty good look. You can see it's pretty airy. It's a loose gauge, you know, with that lace, the eyelets and stuff going across. But the base of this, I forget the name of it. It's a mohair, or excuse me, it's a linen and viscose blend, I think, and it's brown. It's a solid brown. I'm not sure how well the color is going to come up because I am so close. And then the mohair that I paired it with is a Kid Silk Haze stripe. I can't remember what colorway, but it has, that's what is giving it like this kind of color. So it has purple and maroon. You can see the purple like coming in over there. I think you can. So it was, the stripe itself was maroon, purple, and brown, and then it paired really well with the brown base so that you just get these like pops of color every so often throughout it. Like in the back there, there's another, a lot of the maroon. Yeah, so this is probably one of my favorite things to wear in the winter. I was getting ready for work today, because I did work. It is, did I say what date it is? I don't think I did. Sorry, I'm like all over the place because it is really hard to get back in the swing of things after you, even though it's only been a week, 2 weeks technically. It's really, yeah, it's hard to get back into it. So I'm going to remember now to say the date. It's November 11th, Saturday night. And I did work today at Knit Circus. I was kind of manning the store. And I wanted something warm and kind of, you know, professional looking, but comfortable. And this is like my go-to thing for that. So yeah, it almost sometimes feels like you've kind of got a thin blanket wrapped around your shoulders. I really like it. So that is my Poncini. You'll probably see it a few more times on this podcast. And yeah, it's a great pattern. So I have been working on a lot of knitting over the last 2 weeks. I have a couple finished objects, which I'm really excited about, and I do have a couple works in progress. One of them is new, one of them you will recognize. I'm bringing it back out. I haven't worked on this in quite a while, but I'll show it to you first. Sorry, I'm just getting it out of the bag. I just have this inside a canvas bag. I actually got this from the owner of Yoth, which is Yarn on the House, Veronica. And Veronica, sorry, you probably can't even hear me. It says pretty things inside, how cute. And then on this side, it has the Yoth logo. Hopefully you can see that because I can't see myself. Oh, hello. Yes, so I got this from the owner of Yoth. She came to Yarnology, the yarn store that I used to work at, a couple years ago and did a trunk show there for the evening and was fantastic. She is just a wonderful person and obviously a very talented designer and dyer and, well, I don't know if they actually do the dyeing. But anyway, her yarn is gorgeous. And yeah, we were really excited to have them at the shop, and then she gave us some goodies, which was so nice. But that big canvas bag is holding the big chunky blanket that I am knitting for my mom for Christmas. And the last time I showed this to you guys, I think you can see the end. Can you see like the one little end that's kind of poking out there? So that was the first ball of yarn. That's where the first ball of yarn ended. And I had pretty much, I think the last time I showed it on the podcast, that's where I was. I had finished the first ball of yarn. I had a good amount, but I really didn't touch it for a while. I had other projects to do, and it's for Christmas, so at that point, I think that was like August, I didn't really feel, in a rush to finish it. Recently, I've just thought about kind of who I'm knitting for Christmas, what projects I'm doing, and have been wanting to kind of get going on some things for the holidays. I'm not knitting for as many people or knitting as much as I normally do, but I am knitting my mom, my sister, my nephew, maybe Seaver. I have to decide if I was going to knit for him what it would be. And yeah, I think that might be it, which seems crazy because I usually knit for like everybody, but I'm going to pare it down a little bit. I'm going to, take it easy on myself just a tad, so, but we'll see. I might decide like the week before Christmas to like knit a bunch more, which is what I do, and I shouldn't, but character flaw. No. So yes, this is just a 2x2 rib. I decided to do this really cozy, thick blanket for her to cozy up in on the couch, and I'm knitting these on size 19 needles. These are just really basic wooden needles from Knit Picks. No, not Knit Picks, Knitter's Pride. And it's actually called their Basics line. That's, yeah, it's like BASIX. And they just have, kind of just a general generic wood finish. The one thing that I like though is compared to like Clover or, I guess Chow Gu is okay, although I don't know if they make their bamboo needles this like thick, into the size 19. The thing I like about these is they're decently sharp, and with really huge yarn you don't need like a great point. Yeah, but I like how sharp these are with this like thicker yarn. It's almost like roving. This is Cascade Magnum in the, oh my gosh, I can't remember. It might be like chestnut colorway. It's not the Doeskin Heather. Doeskin Heather is like one shade lighter than this. This is a little bit darker. It might be chestnut. But this is almost like a roving. There's really just barely a twist to it. And I do tend to split it every so often. So, when I'm knitting, I can't knit too fast on these huge needles because, gosh, they're gigantic. I know some people knit with larger needles. I don't know how you do it. My hands start getting so cramped up just knitting on 19s. People who knit on 36s and 50s, I am like in awe of you because I don't think I could handle that. This goes so fast though. That is the one beautiful, beautiful thing about large yarn and large needles, is that in about a day, knitting like 2 evenings back to back, I was able to knit from that little end where I started a new ball of yarn all the way to where I am. And, sorry, this is how much I have left of the second ball. So I almost knit an entire ball of yarn, doubling the size of this like in a night, which is amazing. So I think I have like 2 more skeins of the brown. I don't know if I'll use them all because I also have a like maroon, like a dark red. I'm not sure if it gets into the maroon category, but I want to put a couple stripes at the end, at one end of this blanket. So obviously the beginning of it is just brown, and then I want to knit a little bit more in the brown, maybe half a skein, and then add like, you know, chunky stripes of red, maybe, I think like 2, and a little bit of brown in between. So mostly brown, big chunk of red, little bit of brown, big chunk of red, ending with the brown, and then bind off. And I'm toying with the idea of doing a edging, and I might do an applied I-cord edging. I really like the look of that, but I'm just trying to decide if it's necessary. The edge of, I'll just show you one end here. So these are purl stitches, obviously on one side, knit stitches on the other, and it honestly does its own kind of curling, and in a way it kind of already looks like almost like an I-cord edge. So you can see, you know, those purl stitches in there, and it just like curls over. But I'm not sure if I block it, which I'm debating on, like soaking it and letting it kind of stretch out, because you can see with the ribbing, it tends to kind of like go in together. Like this doesn't look very large, I bet, on the camera, but when I stretch it out, it covers my lap like perfectly, and there's like room. So I might give it a little bit of a block so that it, you know, does stretch out a bit and drapes nicer and lays, you know, a little bit nicer on her lap. So if I do that, I don't know if that edging will go away. If it does, you know, I think that's what I'm going to do. So if I block it, when I block it, if that kind of curled edge flattens out permanently, I will go back with leftover yarn, because I think I'm going to have an entire ball of yarn of the brown. I'll go back and do an applied I-cord edge on it. Yes. Good thinking. Thanks for that. It's amazing what, you know, you can decide on when you're talking out loud to yourself, to your camera. So yes, that is the blanket. See, look how, when I stretch it out, look how wide that is. Oh my goodness. So cool. I forget how many stitches I have. I could very easily count them right now, but I'm not going to. When it's a finished object, maybe I will give you all the stats on that and how much yarn it took and how many stitches I cast on, because it is just, you know, it's such a simple idea for a blanket, and I'm not the first one to have thought of that. I just kind of, you know, went with someone else's great idea. So my second work in progress is one that I actually am on the second try on, and I'll explain that in a second. I'm keeping this in my Bink Waffle bag. This is their small dumpling bags, and I love it. I use this for everything from socks to baby sweaters to mittens, yeah, anything. I love it. So the project that's in there, the one that I am trying for the second time, oh, smart, I am in the middle of a row. Oh well, I guess it doesn't matter. So I am knitting the Anders sweater, and this is, I have the pattern here, so I'll just show you a quick picture, and then I'll be able to tell you who designed it. Although I think a lot of people have heard of, knit this Anders sweater. It's not a new pattern by any means. It's by Soren Claire Kerr. and she is Puddlefish Knits, and this is the Ander sweater, and there's no information on there. It is a pay-for pattern. Can you see it? Yep, you can. Okay. I don't trust my like aim with this, so this is a pay-for pattern, and it is on Ravelry, and I am knitting this for my nephew for Christmas. So my nephew Ronan is close to a year and a half. He'll be a year and a half in January. His birthday is in July, and I've decided that this is like the perfect wintry pattern for him, and I'm so excited to knit this for him. I'm knitting it out of, ooh, things are falling. Knitting it out of Kenzie by Haiku. I have knit a sweater for myself out of this. This is the same color and everything. I wonder if the light from like behind here is kind of blowing things out. I apologize, but I think it's still much, much better than the last podcast. The last podcast was horrible lighting. So this is like a dark navy. It's got some like little flecks of, it looks like tweed, but it's actually like silk noils that are flecked in there. And it's a blend of merino, nylon, angora, alpaca, and silk noils. A lot of stuff in there. So last January, some of you will remember, I knit the Barn Sweater by Carrie Bostic Hodge, and that was out of the Matter Anthology 2. I knit a sweater for myself, which I actually just wore the other day for the first time this season. I'm so excited. And I had like 4 or 5 skeins left over, plus like a half skein. I think it was 4 skeins and a half skein left over, and that's gonna give me like more than 800 yards, I think. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, close to 800 yards. So I decided to knit the 2-year sweater in the Anders pattern out of Kenzie. And that sweater calls for a DK. Kenzie is like a light worsted, so I'm going up a needle size and knitting the size 2, and I'm hoping that it turns into like, instead of a 24-month, I'm hoping it's more, I don't know, like 2.5 year, close to 3-year size, because Ronan is a little bit on the bigger side. He's still like in 12-month clothing. You know, he's like a year and a half. He's kind of in like 12 to 18-month clothing, but he is kind of on the higher side of the spectrum. So I'm hoping it just turns out a little bit bigger, not too much bigger, but a little bit bigger. And honestly, all I have done with this sweater is a tiny bit of the collar. This is knit from the top down. I don't know if you saw in the pattern. Yeah, you would have. There are buttons like halfway, not quite halfway down, and that of course makes it much easier to get on the child, which I'm really glad about because he has a large head. And so you knit it flat for a while, and then after a while you join it in the round. So I'm just on the collar, and the reason why this is my second time starting it is because this pattern does this really cool thing called I'm gonna say it wrong unless I actually look at it, so hang on one second. It's called the Vickle braid, and it's this really cool technique that you do like around the base of the collar before you start the stockinette portion of it, and it just kind of, it's like a slip stitch technique, sort of, not really. I won't describe it too much because again, this pattern is like, $5 or $6 to buy, but it's really cool. It looks awesome. The one drawback is that the row after you do the Vickle braid gets so stretched out. It looks like you have done like an elongated stitch, and I I did that, I took it out, I tried doing it again, you know, tightening up my stitches, it just didn't work. And I could have kept going. I looked at a couple project pages from other people and I could see the row of, you know, stretched out stitches underneath that braid. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not doing anything wrong. However, am I going to be happy with the look of that? I decided no, I was not going to be happy with that. So just today, just this afternoon, while I was winding yarn at work, I decided to, instead of trying to do like 4 things at once, I just decided I was going to rip out my project, cast on again, and just, you know, start the collar, just do the ribbed collar, and then go straight into stockinette stitch. So I don't think it's going to make a huge, you know, difference. It's just that detail that's going to be gone. And I think she has you do it at a couple other places, like maybe at the cuffs, maybe at the hem, I'm not quite sure, but I'm just going to take it out of the whole sweater. It doesn't necessarily look bad, I just knew I wasn't going to be happy with that like inconsistency with those really stretched out stitches. So yeah, so that's where my head is at with that. And I'm still really excited to knit this. I think the color work at the bottom, those trees, oh my gosh, it's the perfect winter sweater, I think. And I almost want to make one for myself, figure out how I can do that. But I definitely think that I'm going to try and take that motif that's in there, the stitch motif, and put it on a hat for Ronan and have like a matching hat, maybe even mittens. I could see a matching hat and mitten set with his Ander sweater. So that might happen, just because I think those like little pine trees on that sweater is the cutest thing. And yeah, I'm really excited to do that. This is going to be the first color work I've done in, I don't even know how long. I did a little bit of color work last year for my sister for her Christmas present, but I honestly don't know. I think that was the last time I did color work, maybe. And then before that, I can't remember. And I've been kind of itching to do color work. I really want to do like Norwegian mittens. I've been seeing a lot of people doing the Skandir Norwegian Selbu mittens. And I don't watch her podcast. I don't know why. I should. Everyone raves about her podcast, and I love watching podcasts from people in other countries. I do have like, you know, my favorite American US podcasters, but I love hearing about life in a different country, about what people are, you know, up to. It's like, because I haven't traveled outside of the United States before, it's kind of my way of living vicariously through these people, and visiting these places without getting on an airplane. Not that I have any problem with that, just it costs a lot of money and time. So I just haven't had a chance to do much, to do any international travel yet in my life. So hopefully that will change. We are talking about maybe going overseas for our honeymoon. Though, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people have exactly where they want to go on their honeymoon, and they've like dreamed about it the way, you know, some people dream about their wedding, or, you know, their house someday. I feel like that's only me. I dream about like a farm, a future farm. Does anyone else do that? I never really planned my wedding, like how little girls or guys, you know, not gonna judge, have like planned their wedding when they were kids and know exactly what they want. I was not like that. I always planned like my future home or my future farm. You know, I was gonna have these animals and I was gonna, you know, do this, and so I had all of that like planned out. But I never really planned my wedding ahead of time. So yeah, anyway, we're all different. So we're still trying to figure out where to go on our honeymoon. If you guys have suggestions, actually, not just those who live internationally, but anyone. If you've traveled to someplace really amazing if you live somewhere super amazing, let me know. We like to do some outdoorsy stuff, though for the wedding I don't think we're going to do anything too like crazy, like not like backpacking for a week or something. We do want to do that, you know, eventually, but not for the honeymoon. Just like day hikes, amazing views. We're not really huge like beach people, you know, like a tropical beach. But you know, we're open to a lot of things. So if you guys have any great ideas, please plan my honeymoon for me, because we are kind of stumped. But we have time, and we're not planning on going like directly after the wedding. So maybe like that fall, like next fall we'll go. But yeah. Okay, so you saw my 2 works in progress. Now I want to show you a few finished objects. And yes, I did say few. And I'm very excited about all 3 of them. 3. So the first one is ba-ba-da-bum. These are my Wonderland socks by Tabitha. I do this every single time. I can't remember her last name. Oh, she is one of the sisters on the Hey Sister podcast, and I love them, and I love their podcast, and I can never remember her last name, but that's okay. It's Tabby's pattern, and I knit these out of Brew City Yarns. Where can you get? That's a pretty good rendition of the color. Brew City Yarns in their Burning Leaves colorway. So this was my second pair of like fall autumn themed socks. I did my first pair out of Three Sisters Fiber Company Fall on the Farm, and those were my Rhinebeck is Calling socks. And these were my second autumn inspired socks out of Burning Leaves. And you can see, oh boy, sorry about that. You can see all the cool colors in there. You know, it has your traditional brown, red, orange, but then there's like pops of yellow and almost like a periwinkle blue in there, and I absolutely love them. I haven't worn them yet. I kind of wanted to keep them nice on the blockers for the podcast, and now I think I will wear them maybe sometime next week. Lately, I've only been wearing my hand knit socks. Even this morning, I thought, well, I've been wearing hand knit socks the last like week pretty much, and I'm going through them. I'm washing them. I'm wearing them, second time or whatever. But I'm like, I'm gonna run out. I should maybe just wear regular socks today. Nope, didn't want to. Couldn't bring myself to do it. So I am again wearing a pair of hand knit socks today. But I'm really glad, because in years past, I've had all these beautiful socks, and I would wear them at home maybe, but I, for some reason, never wore them like out and about. I didn't wear them to work, and I realized how northern I just sounded saying out and about. Oh well. So what was I saying? So lately I have been wearing them to work. I've been wearing them with my, my boots, my shoes. I still don't wear them like with my tennis shoes to exercise or something like that. They're too warm, and I don't know. I don't really enjoy doing that. So they're mostly just for like day-to-day stuff. And I'm thinking, if I am this hooked on them already in November, I am going to need more. So I'm excited to, hopefully, once I get a handle on my Christmas knitting, I'm going to cast on another pair of socks. And actually, that brings me to, I will show you the rest of my finished objects, but I kind of wanted to put something out there. I've had this idea for a knit-along that will go maybe November and December. And I don't want there to have be a lot of pressure to finish something, because I know we're all doing like holiday knitting as well. But you can incorporate, holiday knitting into this. And I want to call it the first snow cal, because I am waiting with bated breath for the first snow here in the Madison area of Wisconsin. And I feel like everywhere around us, back in Winona, I think they got their first snow. Where my cousin lives in Kenosha, Wisconsin, they got snow. Down in the Chicago area where I grew up, they already got snow down there. A few of my friends still live in the area and in the city, and you know, they have snow already. So I am just waiting and waiting, and I've decided on the day of the first snow, I'm going to cast on a pair of socks, and I'm going to cast on the second pair of socks that Tabitha Gandy, that's it. Yes, I got it. Tabitha Gandy. So Tabitha just released a new pattern, and I think it's called Falling Snow, or something to that effect. I'll write the actual name on the bottom. But I thought, how perfect would that be to cast on a pair of socks, especially, you know, the pattern is, you know, related to snowfall, on the day of the first snow. So I understand that there are people watching from, you know, halfway across the world, or, you know, yeah, in a different hemisphere, who, you know, you're going into summer right now, so you're not going to get snow. That's totally fine. And I understand people live in warmer climates, and it might just be wet where you are. It's not necessarily going to snow. That's totally fine too. I just want to embrace the feeling that you get with that first snow, with the holidays coming, getting, you know, just staying cozy inside. And yeah, I just think it would be really fun to knit something special. So if you are in an area that has had snowfall, knit something that you associate with that. It can be for Christmas, for another holiday that's coming up, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever. If you're not into, you know, these types of holidays, just knit something that is winter related. And yeah, and I'm gonna do that too. I have a couple ideas. I have another idea besides the socks, but we'll see how far I get with those. And I'm gonna set up a chatter thread, and that's all it's gonna be. Post pictures of your projects, comment on other people's projects, just get involved, and have fun. And I will choose a winner from that thread, maybe at the end of December. Let's do 2 full months. So it's already today's the 11th, and I probably won't get this podcast up until the 12th. So let's go from November 12th until January 12th. And then I will choose a winner. And if you want to wait, like if you will be expecting snow in the next few weeks or something like that, and you want to wait until, you know, your first snow to cast on, that's totally cool. I think that's what I'm going to do. Like I said, I'm just really excited, and I want it to be a special day, even more special than it will be, you know, for me already. So that's the plan. I hope you guys are excited. If you want to get involved, please do. If you have questions, comments, anything, go to Ravelry, message me on Instagram, whatever. And yeah, I'm hoping that a few of you wanna knit with me. Let's have a knit along. I haven't had a knit along in so long. I'm so excited. Okay, so first snow cal. I think that's what I called it. If I said something different before, forget that. It's gonna be called the first snow cal. Woohoo! Okay, so we got that out of the way. I know I kind of threw it in the middle of finished objects, but oh well, we're just gonna roll with it. I do have a couple more finished objects to show you before I sign off. And the next one is so flipping cute. I can hardly stand it. Oh my goodness! Look at this teeny tiny, adorable, beautiful baby sweater. And this is mostly finished. All I have to do is sew on buttons. First I have to get buttons to sew on, and then I will sew them on. I might have some, but I'm not sure if they'll work. This is called the Maylee sweater. I will put the designer and the spelling of that at the bottom. And it is just a cute little cardigan with some lace motifs, and oh my gosh, I just think there's something about little tiny clothes that just makes me so happy. And this is no exception. So I tried to show you this yarn last time I podcasted, and it was an utter failure because the lighting was so atrocious. So now you actually get to see what it looks like. There are pinks and purples of various hues and just kind of all modeled together. It reminds me kind of like watercolor. You know how the color kind of bleeds and turns into, you know, it fractures and turns into other colors? That's what it reminds me of. So I had a good time knitting this. Except okay, so this is from the bottom up. You knit the body up to like the armpit separate, and then you knit both sleeves. So you have like 3 pieces. You have sleeve, body, sleeve. Then you have to join them all. And in this pattern, she admits that she does not like casting off anything under the arm. She joins them all together without altering, you know, any of the stitches. So when you knit, you know, and I'm not giving anything away, it's a free pattern anyway on Ravelry. So when you knit the front, then you continue and knit the sleeve stitches, then you knit the back, and then you knit the other sleeve stitches, and then you knit the other front. The problem that I and everyone else encounters, and she, you know, again, it admits this in the pattern, is that there is no space in between those stitches, like when you get to, from body stitches to sleeve stitches, that you are literally like pulling the knitting apart almost, in order to give yourself enough space to knit on. If that makes any sense. Those of you who have kind of like knit sweaters before and encountered that with, you know, just like really torquing on the knitting. I was afraid I was going to split yarn, like break it. I didn't, thank goodness, but the first like half a dozen rows after joining the sleeves were kind of uncomfortable, and I couldn't help but think that there is a much better way to do that, especially because after I had stretched the knitting so much in order to knit, connect all these pieces together, I had to go back and seam it up anyway. There was space like underneath, so you have to seam up the arms. The sleeves are knit flat, but underneath here, where they had been joined, I had stretched these body stitches so much that I had to go back and seam it all together so that there wasn't this big gaping hole. And so she's saying like, oh, I don't like the feeling, I don't like having, stitches underneath the armpit. I had to do that anyway. So next time, if I were to make this again, I think I would give myself a little bit of space underneath the sleeves, in order to just make it work better. There was a moment when I was trying to get my needle to go into, after I had knit the sleeve stitches, coming back to the body stitches, it's just, there was no space. And I was trying to bring my needle around and put it back into, and start knitting the body stitches again. There was a moment where I thought it was going to be utterly impossible, that there was just no stretch left in the yarn, in the knitting, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to have to figure out another way to connect these. I did make it work, but again, if you're going to knit this sweater, and I highly recommend the rest of the pattern, keep in mind what she says about casting off under the arm. She says she doesn't prefer it, but I honestly think it would make the knitting experience and the knitted garment just a little bit better. So That being said, I am in love with this tiny little baby sweater. And this is for my practically cousin. We grew up together, and I consider him a cousin. This is for his little girl who is due, I believe, this spring. And my mom, they live in Arizona, and my mom is going out there in December for the baby shower. And I wanted to send this along with her. Oh, I forgot to talk about the yarn. So the yarn I knit this out of is Madeline Tosh Merino Light, and it is a single ply. Let me just show you the little close-up here. So it is a single ply. You can see that in the knitting. It is just the softest, squishiest single ply merino, and again, the color is just perfect for a little girl. There's that lace detail you can see there. And they, like I said, they live in Arizona, so I didn't want to knit anything too heavy, but I did want to knit a sweater. I didn't want to, you know, I mean, she probably won't need a thick baby blanket. She doesn't really need hat and mittens. You know, booties are always nice, but there's something about a handmade baby sweater that it's just lovely. So I'm excited to send this on its way. And hopefully see pictures. I haven't seen, my cousin's name is Jordan. I haven't seen Jordan in years and years and years. He went to school in New York City, and we were both in college at the same time, and I saw him once when we used to see each other every year. My sister and my mom would always go and stay with him and his family. He has a sister, and our moms are best friends. So I used to see him every single summer, you know, at least for like a week or so. And, oh, that's dinner. Hang on one second. Okay, I just had to put it back in for a couple more minutes. It's not quite done yet. So, like I was saying, I used to see him a lot. And, you know, my sister and his sister and us, we were super close. And we all kind of went off to school. And I haven't seen him in a really, really long time. So I'm really hoping, you know, to someday, I'm hoping they can come out for the wedding. I understand if they can't because Arizona's, you know, far away. But it would be so much fun to see him and meet the baby and meet his wife. I've never met his wife before. And yeah, it just feels like, you know, a long lost piece of the family, him and Kara. Kara is his sister, and I haven't seen her for, you know, quite a while either. So it would be really, really great to see them, and I can't wait to see pictures of the baby, and it's just very exciting. We're all getting to that age when we're having kids and getting married and, you know, living our adult lives, and, you know, it doesn't seem like that long ago that we were kids, you know, making amateur movies in our basement. We used to do that. Oh my gosh. It was so funny. We used to like write scripts, and he had a video camera, so the four of us would play all sorts of characters and just these, you know, crazy wild movies and these far-fetched storylines that we would make up, and oh my gosh, it was so much fun. But anyway, that's probably too much information. I'm just waffling on at this point. But yes, so I'm excited about that. So my last finished object, I might be the most excited about this one. And you will know right away why that is. This is my Badger House shawl. That's what it's called, my Badger House shawl by yours truly. This is my newest design that I've made, and it is knit out of Bumblebee Acres yarn in their Helga Hufflepuff colorway. And for those of you who know Harry Potter, you will know that the Hufflepuff house is, their mascot is the badger, and so I based this shawl, the Badger House shawl, after Hufflepuff and kind of the qualities of a Hufflepuff, and just kind of just inspired by, you know, by that house in Hogwarts in general. So, and I am a proud member of Hufflepuff House, so yes. It has this really pretty lace motif that reminds me of honeycomb, and then it goes into some seed stitch and stockinette, kind of alternating. This is, to me, seed stitch is a very earthy, has an earthy look to it, and I like the kind of striping from stockinette to seed stitch and back, back and forth a couple of times. And then it goes back to the lace, and is that too close? I hope not. And then ends with seed stitch. So yeah, so that's really cool. Hufflepuffs, the qualities of Hufflepuffs that I really identify with. Hufflepuffs are very loyal, they're hardworking, they are not afraid of hard work, but they stand up for themselves, and they're not pushovers. A lot of people kind of, I think, view them as, push over a wet blanket, a doormat, but that's not true. We accept everyone. I say we as like I really am. Like, this isn't a fictional thing from a book, but to me it is. I really do identify a lot with them, and they accept everybody, no matter what, and I really like that. They identify with sunshine and the earth and plants and green things, and I just love that. So to me, that like seed stitch, that earthiness of it really invokes, just what's important to a Hufflepuff. And again, the lace is like a honeycomb type lace motif, and that harkens back to the honey badger. We are little, but we are fierce if you poke us. I just love that. So this is available on Ravelry. There it goes again. Hold tight. Okay, so now I'm gonna let that cool. In the meantime, I'll finish up here. Yes, this is available on Ravelry. It is knit out of about 420 yards of a fingering weight yarn, and that is how much I actually used, not how much was in the skein. So the skein was 436, I think, 446 of fingering weight yarn, and I used roughly 420 for it. So if you have a skein of yarn with 420 yards, you will use every single scrap. But it is a nice size. I think it is. It wraps around, your neck easily. You can wear it cowl style, bandana style, or you can, drape it over your shoulders if you're chilly. I do have pictures of it that Seaver and I took. Actually, we took them out where we got engaged. It's part of the Ice Age Trail here in Wisconsin, and that's like a really big hiking trail that like goes across like half the state. And we have a little segment of it. We actually have two segments of it here in Cross Plains, and we went out to the Table Bluff segment, and that's where he proposed. And we went back there earlier this week and got some lovely, lovely pictures of this shawl, and I'll post a couple here. By the colors, I love that these are Helga Hufflepuff, Hufflepuff house colors. That's why I knit it. That's what inspired me, for this design. But it is going to look gorgeous in anything. My friend Carolyn from the Chain 344 podcast and from Unwound Artisan Yarn Shop in La Crosse, Wisconsin, she is knitting a sample of this right now. And she's just doing it out of like a speckled color. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. She posted a little picture, like a sneak peek of just the lace section, like a close-up, and it just looks amazing. So you can knit it out of speckles, you can knit it out of a solid. This one is kind of a little more variegated, but I still think it shows off, the stitches quite well. And again, this is from Bumblebee Acres Yarn, so if you are a fellow Hufflepuff and this yarn just makes you as excited as it makes me, you can go order from their website. I love it. And I really think that I want to do more. So this is the Hufflepuff house, the Badger House shawl, but there are 3 more houses. And Bumblebee Acres Yarn makes a colorway for each house. I am so excited because I want to make like a whole series of Hogwarts house shawls, and I just like I just want to like do them right now. I haven't even ordered the yarn. I have an idea of the motifs, at least a couple that would be like in each shawl, but I have to like try them out and knit it up, obviously. But anyway, super exciting. If that's anything you'd be interested in, let me know. And maybe come New Year, I'm gonna really get started on those. And then we can have a Hogwarts house knit along. Yes. Yes. That is going to happen. Okay, so once all 4 houses are out, I don't know when that's gonna be. It could be like next spring or fall. Probably not, but then we're gonna do a Hogwarts house knit along. Yay, so exciting. Okay, so go on Ravelry, look for Badger House shawl. Look for Carolyn's example of it because, again, hers is gonna look totally different, just as beautiful, totally different. And yeah, and hopefully you can, you know, knit along with me. If you decide this is something you wanna wear and knit, it is a really fun knit, then please tag me in photos that you take if you're putting them on Instagram, or yeah, you can't really tag on Ravelry, can you? Kind of. Anyway, but yes, please do, and post your finished projects in Ravelry. That really, really helps with like generating pattern sales in a way, or just getting your name out there. If more people have a finished product or finished object in their Ravelry like project page, and link the original pattern to that project, then it just gets more people seeing it. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm excited. But I have to go eat dinner because I'm starving. Oh, but before I do that, I have an acquisition. Oh my gosh, I haven't showed you a new yarn friend in so long. I've been so good since I moved. It's probably been since like August or September since I actually bought yarn, which my friend Lisa could not believe because I work at a yarn company that makes really, really cool yarn. And this week, so before now, I've been able to resist. I've had lots of plans. I've been tempted, of course, but I'm like, no, you know, we're planning a wedding and we have to pay for, you know, things for that. But this week, they came out with a color that I could not resist. I could not resist it. And I think those of you who know a little bit about me and about my color sense and just my aesthetic in general will understand. This is called Sagebrush Cowgirl, and it looks super weird in the package. This is a sock set. So what we do at Knit Circus is we dye gradient yarns mostly, or striping yarns that are perfectly matched, and you don't have to really do any work in matching up your yarn for matching socks. So this is 2 skeins of 150 yards each, because I got the medium set. You can get small, medium, or large that we sell in, you know, all the colorways. Large is usually for like a men's size. Medium is like most women from like 7 to 9.5. And then small would be like ankle socks or a child sock. So this is our medium set. And I'm not sure. I think the lighting, I think it's picking it up pretty well, but you know, we have this like sagey brownish green on the outside, a turquoisey blue inside, and then it goes into like kind of a pink, and then then an orange, and then a burnt orange. Oh my gosh, so pretty. So we have this colorway in fingering, DK, and worsted, plus the sock sets. So really you can do like anything with it, but I thought I need to knit socks out of this. This is just too gorgeous. And this is on our Greatest of Ease base, which is 80% merino and 20% nylon. And it is a fingering weight. And I just want to point out, this is super weird, but so the colorway name on the bottom, that's my handwriting because I packaged all of these because that's where I work. That's what I do. I'm not the only one, but on this particular day when they were coming through, that's what I was doing. I was processing yarn and packaging, and that's my handwriting right there. So if you order from Knit Circus, there is a chance that I'm the one that packaged it, that wrote the name of it on there, that labeled it, that maybe even wound it. So that's kind of fun. And I also, this is a really little thing, but I've been wanting one of these since we got them. And since I was buying the sock yarn anyway, I thought I'd add this in. And this is a tiny little, let's see, there you go. Is it focusing? Sort of. Back up a little bit. Anyway, you get the point. That is the shape of Wisconsin, the state that I now live in. And it has, can you see, it has knit stitches on the inside. And it's like, I think it's burnt in there. Yeah. So cute. Oh my gosh. So darn cute. Okay, so for those of you who are not as familiar, there we go, that's picking up some good light, with Wisconsin and where like I live, where the Madison area is. So this over here is the eastern side of the state, and this is like Lake Michigan is like in there. And this is Door County way up there. Green Bay is like right at the base of it. This is the Mississippi River that cuts through. And like half of this down here is like, what would that be? Like Iowa. And then up here is Minnesota. Like this is where, right across the river is where Winona is. Like right here. And we live, like, what would you say, guys? Like right around there, like Madison. Try not to shake this too much. It's kind of hard. Yeah, we're like central, like south central Madison. The Madison area is. So that's where I live. And yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. It's good. So that was a lot of knitting content, and I'm really excited that I had so much to show you. I am hoping that this podcast gets uploaded tomorrow, which is Sunday the 12th. So hopefully you are watching it when you are cozied up at home knitting, or if it's warm where you are, just, you know, having a nice relaxing day or evening. I cannot wait to eat a little bit of dinner and probably watch a podcast because I'm obsessed, and then definitely do some knitting. I did a little bit of knitting yesterday, but not a whole lot Thursday, not really a whole lot yesterday, so it's been a few days and I am itching to knit some stitches, so we'll get on with that. Thank you so much for watching. For those of you who keep coming back week after week, I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm so thankful that you have decided to watch my podcast and follow along with my knitting life. For those of you who are watching for the first time, who hopefully got through this episode, thank you so much for, you know, giving my podcast a try. I hope that you come back. I hope that you liked what you saw. And if you did, give me a thumbs up and maybe subscribe to the channel. That would be awesome. It just gets my name out there a little bit more and hopefully generate some new viewers. So Thank you so much. I hope that you all have a fantastic weekend and week, depending on when you're watching this. And I hope to see you again very, very soon. In the meantime, do things that make your heart happy, and I will do the same. Bye.